Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, our today's lecture is about the strength of acids and bases. On the basis of strength, acid can be categorized as strong acid, weak acids. What is strong acids? Strong acid is the one that ionizes completely in aqueous solution and give a high concentration of hydrogen ions. Means when we add these acids into the water, it completely dissociates into their respective ions and produces a strong, a high concentration of hydrogen ion into that solution. These acids are called as strong acids. For example, if let's just consider that we are going to add 100 molecules of an acid into the water. Out of those 100, approximately 90 to 95% of the acids dissociates into the ions. Such acids will be called as strong acids. For example, HCl, hydrochloric acid, H2SO4, sulfuric acid, HNO3, nitric acid. These are the examples of strong acids. When I am going to add HCl into the water, it completely, you can say it almost 100% gets ionized, dissociate into their respective ions. The hydrochloric acid dissociate into hydrogen ion and chloride ion completely. So HCl is an example of strong acid. Weak acids. The acid which do not completely dissociate in aqueous solution, which partially dissociate up to some extent, not the 100% or 95% of the molecule dissociate in this case. In this case, very few, approximately 20%, 30% of the molecules dissociate into the ions, respective ions, and give very low concentration of hydrogen ions. Such acids are called as weak acids. For example, HNO2, H2SO3, H2CO3, CH3COOH. Now, this CH3COOH acetic acid, when added in the water, very few molecules are dissociated and very few hydrogen ions are produced. That is why this acetic acid is called as weak acid. Now, towards the bases, strong base. Strength of bases. On the basis of dissociation, the bases can be either strong base or weak base. Similarly, what is the strong base? The base which completely dissociate in an aqueous solution. When you add the base into the water, it completely dissociate into the respective ions and gives a high concentration of hydroxide ion. Such bases are called as strong bases. For example, sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, lithium hydroxide, etc. are the examples. When we add potassium hydroxide into the water, it completely dissociates into potassium ions and the hydroxide ions. As it completely dissociates, it produces, it is considered as a strong base into respective ions. Well, weak bases. What is weak base? The base which do not completely dissociate in an aqueous solution and give a relatively lower concentration of hydroxide ions. Means these bases will partially ionize in aqueous solution. These bases will be partially ionized in the aqueous solution and produces very little amount of hydroxide ions. For example, ammonium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, aluminum hydroxide, these are the common examples of the weak bases. When we add these bases into the water, very few molecules are dissociated into the ions and very few molecules of the hydroxide ions are produced. Up to 20, 30 or 40% of the molecules get dissociated and rest of them remains undissociated. Thank you, boys. Allah Hafiz.